Just a reminder to vote in this week's Locals poll, where you decide what deck I take to Locals every single week. Without any further ado, I hope you enjoyed the video. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and for today we've got the profile for the deck that won the Locals poll this past week, being Marincess. Since Locals Day ended up falling on Halloween, other people had plans, so we ended up not going because I don't really think anyone was going to show up that day. But so we did online matches instead. We went 3-0. Which is about what I expected for this deck. It's really solid, so here's what it looks like on paper, then we'll get to the card by card. So starting off with the monsters, we've got 2 copies of Marincess Sleepy Maiden. So this one is a level 5, but this one actually has the ability to special summon itself by targeting a Marincess card you control. And then, while this card is on the field, the targeted card cannot be destroyed by card effects. So that's really nice. And then it does have a grave effect where you can banish it to equip an additional link monster to your Marincess monster from your graveyard. That kind of helps with like the field spell and all that. Next, 3 copies of Marincess Blue Tang. So this is one of your main monsters here. It's a Foolish Burial on summon for a Marincess, and then when it's uses link material, you get to excavate the top 3 cards of your deck and add an excavated Marincess card to your deck. So that's really, really nice. Just being able to get resources not only from your deck, but also dump them into your graveyard. Really, really good card there. Next, 3 copies of Marincess Pascalis. This one is basically a Goblinberg for the deck. When it's summoned, you get special summon a Marincess monster from your hand in defense position. And then when it's in your graveyard, other than the turn that it was sent there, you can banish it to add a Marincess spell or trap back from your graveyard to your hand. So it special summons another monster and can also get some of your resources back from the grave, which is really, really nice. Next, 2 copies of Marincess Spring Girl. This one is just an extender. You can banish a Marincess monster from your grave to special summon it. And then when you use it as link material, you can mill cards from the top of your deck to the grave equal to the number of Marincess monsters you currently have on your field. And then inflict 200 damage for each Marincess card that was milled by this effect. This is basically just a reference from the anime where the person that used Marincess started out using Trick Stars. That's kind of where this plays in. But yeah, it's a nice extender. Next, we do have 1 copy of Marincess Basilalima. This one, we basically just run it for the graveyard effect. So this is one of the main targets that we will be dumping for Marincess Blue Tang. Because basically it can banish itself from the grave to protect one of your Marincess monsters from being destroyed. And then when it gets banished, you can target one of your Marincess monsters and it gains 600 attack permanently. So this is really nice. It does have an on-field effect where you can banish a trap from your grave to add a Marincess trap with a different name, but that normally doesn't come up because we just dump it straight from the deck to the grave. Next, 3 copies of Marincess Seahorse. So this one, basically, you can normal summon this if you have to, link into one of your link 1s, add this back, and then just special summon it. Because basically it's an extender if you have a link monster on your field. But uninterrupted, this card by itself is a 1-card link 3. So that's really nice, just being able to have that level of consistency, so that way you can properly manage your resources and all that. Really, really good card. Next, we have 2 copies of Marincess Mandarin. So this one, if you have 2 or more Marincess monsters while it's in your grave or in your hand, you can target a water link monster you control, special summon it to the zone that monster points to, and then banish it when it leaves the field. So this is just another extender. Nothing really more to say about it. Next, we are on 1 copy of Marincess Sea Star. Basically, you just send it from your hand to the grave to give a Marincess an 800 attack boost. I'm just running this one just because I want to. If you don't want to run it, then I would recommend a 3rd copy of Sleepy Maiden. or Spring Girl, one of the two, but I would personally go for Sleepy Maiden if I ever wanted to cut this. I'm keeping it just because I just like the card, just being able to push for a little extra damage. But if you don't want to run it, then I would go for Sleepy Maiden, another copy. And rounding out the monsters, we have the only monster that's not in the archetype, being Sea Archiver. This is just a generic water attribute Cybers monster. When a monster is summoned to a zone a link monster points to, you can special this from your hand or grave, but it's vanished when it leaves the field, so it's just another extender to get bodies on the field, since most of your Marincess link monsters just require water monsters for link material anyways. Moving on to the spells, we have 3 copies of the field spell Marincess Battle Ocean. This one, it gives all Marincess monsters 200 attack, but then when you summon one to the extra monster zone, you get to equip it with 3 link monsters from your graveyard, and they gain 600 attack for each link monster equipped. And then it also has the clause where links in the extra monster zone that were summoned using Marincess Crystal Heart are unaffected by your opponent's card effects. So that's really nice, because this, at the end of the day, is basically just a Towers Turbo style deck. That's basically what it is. 3 copies of Marincess Dive. So it has 2 effects depending on if the field spell is on your field or not. So basically you can target a non-link Marincess monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So it's basically just a monster reborn for a non-link, or if you have the field spell, you can special summon a Marincess from your deck. So that's really, really nice, just being able to get whatever you need straight from the deck, so long as you have the field spell. Very, very nice. Next, I am running 2 copies of Synapse Mining, just to try to add some extra consistency. It's just a generic Cybers support card, because the Marincess are Cybers type. Next, moving on to some of the limited cards, we have 1 Terraforming, just to provide an additional search for the field spell in case the little Link 1 gets interrupted, 1 Foolish Burial for extra grave setup, 1 Monster Reborn for extension, 1 for 1, again, just for extension and grave setup with Mandarin, 1 Called by the Grave to try to combat hand traps, and Reasoning just for extra bodies. And finally, moving on to the trap cards. We've got 3 copies of Marincess Wave. This is basically an in-archetype in-perm. If you have a Link 2 or higher, a Link 3 or higher Marincess monster, you can activate it from your hand. So yeah, it's basically an in-perm that you can activate from your hand if you have a Link 3 or higher, and it also has a bonus effect where if you have a Link 2 or higher Marincess monster at activation, then all the monsters on your field are currently unaffected by your opponent's card effects for the rest of the turn. So that's really nice, being able to provide interruption and protecting your monsters at the same time. Finally, rounding out the main deck, we do have 3 copies of Marincess Current. This is basically just to try to inflict more damage. So basically, when a Marincess Link monster you control destroys the opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the Link rating times 400. And then, if you destroyed an opponent's Link monster, you also get to inflict damage equal to the destroyed monster's Link rating times 500. So, potentially a lot of damage, but, you know, this is just to kind of help with those extra pushes. And then, of course, we can banish this from the grave with Bacilla Lima in order to add the wave from deck to hand. So that's really nice. Being able to basically plus off of it twice in terms of damage and advantage. That's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck, we have 2 copies of Marincess Sea Angel. This is basically Striker Dragon for the deck. When it's Link Summon, you add the Marincess field spell from deck to hand. Or technically, you can add any Marincess spell. There's only 2, being the field spell and dive. So if you don't already have the field spell in hand, that's what you're going to be going for. Next, 2 copies of Marincess Blue Slug. This one, when it's Link Summon, you target a Marincess monster in your grave, add it to your hand, and then you're waterlocked for the rest of the turn, but that's not really an issue. So this is what I was referring to earlier, like normal summon Seahorse, link into Blue Slug, Blue Slug, target Seahorse, add it back, Seahorse special. Then go into Coral Anemone, climb into the link 3, and there you go. 1 card, link 3. Next, 2 copies of Marincess Crystal Heart. I'm running 2 just in case something, like Call by the Grave or something gets activated to remove it from play. So basically, you're only using this as link material. This isn't staying on the field to have its effects be relevant, so I'm not really going to go over it. But that's the monster that you have to use as link material to get the unaffected status for or through the field spell. Next, 3 copies of Marincess Coral Anemone. Basically, you target a water with 1500 or less in your grave, so summon it to the zone this card points to. So that's how you climb up into the link 3. And then when it's sent from field to grave, you get to add a Marincess card from your grave back to your hand. Next, 1 copy of Marincess Coral Triangle. This one, you can send a water monster from your hand to the grave to search for a Marincess trap. So that's kind of nice, being able to search wave if you have the resources to do it. And then if you have no monsters on your field, you can banish this from your grave, special summon link monsters whose combined link rating equal 3. So it's kind of a way to get back into the game if you need it. Next, 1 copy of Marincess Marbled Rock. This one, basically, you're just using it for its second effect, which is where you can target a Marincess card in your grave to add it back to your hand every turn. That's the main effect that you're using it for, if you choose to summon it. Next, 1 copy of Marincess Aqua Argonaut. Basically, while this is in the extra monster zone, your opponent can only attack it. And then when your opponent activates a spell or trap, you can special summon an equipped Marincess to negate that effect. And then it does have a compulse effect as well. Next, 2 copies of Marincess Wonderheart. I think I'm actually going to cut this down to 1 copy and then do a second Marbled Rock. That way we can just kind of recycle the Link 4s if we need to. But basically, while it's battling, you can special summon an equipped monster in order to make it to where your monster cannot be destroyed by battle, and you take no battle damage. And then when it dies, you get to special summon a Link 3 or lower Marincess. And finally, 1 Marincess Great Bubble Reef. This one, during your standby, you banish a water from your grave to draw a card. And then each time a monster is banished face up, it gains 600 attack for each till the end of the turn. And then it also has an effect where you can send a water monster from hand to grave to special summon a banished Marincess monster. So yeah, that's it for the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed. It's a really fun deck. Like I said, it's basically just a Towers Turbo deck where you're link climbing into a Link 4 of your choice in order to, after using the whatchamacallit, the Crystal Heart, so that way you can get that monster not only super huge, but also have it unaffected by everything thanks to the field spell. But yeah, really fun deck. And yeah, we ended up doing really well with it. See, what was it that we beat? We beat Sky Striker, Ancient Gear, and something else. Some kind of like stun deck kind of thing. But anyways, that's it for the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, vote in the locals poll, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time.